I'm Scoot, and welcome to the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. If you are not a subscriber, I hope you will take a moment to subscribe. It's free, and we give you a notice every time we do something. We're still talking. I'm in New Orleans, and I'm still doing the YouTube channel and social media from my office at WWL Radio in downtown New Orleans. And soon I'll be back in my apartment studio, but all of this was disrupted because of one bitch of a Hurricane Ida. And I want to talk to you for just a moment about the magnitude of human suffering. A guy called the radio show today, and he talked about how the hurricane has affected him in a very personal way. He went to get his favorite flavor Snowball, and they didn't have condensed milk. This poor guy had to eat an ice cream flavored Snowball with no condensed milk. That is human suffering. Also, Phil Anselmo, lead singer for the heavy rock band Pantera, called my radio show. He's a New Orleans native, lives across the lake on the North Shore. And Phil just wanted to say hi. I said, we're doing a great job. And it's great to talk to Phil. Phil was living on the North Shore, and he was living in, he may have power by now, but this was last night he called the show. And Phil Anselmo, lead singer from Pantera, he was living on a generator that had a link to a window unit, a window AC unit, one window AC unit, and the refrigerator. And he thought he was living large. A lot of great stories on the show today from people who, they still have difficulties, but they've got a great spirit. And then there are the complainers. Why isn't cable on? Why don't I have electricity yet? This is day 8. This was a freaking catastrophic storm. And I get that we want everything that we're used to. We want electricity. We want AC, especially in New Orleans this time of year. It's horrible. We want our cable. But I think sometimes we forget the difference between a necessity and a luxury. Power is more a necessity than cable. And I'm not saying that our cable company here, Cox Cable, hasn't been lacking in the communication department, but they came on my show today and did a very adequate job of explaining how they have to wait until the power lines are up before they restore power. And then you've got some guy bitching because I got underground wiring. I got cable underground wiring. How come I don't have any? I got power. How come I don't have cable? I don't know. But it's not like they can just flip a switch, or it's not like the cable company is sitting there going, well, let's just make sure we don't give this area any cable. They want to get the cable back. And there are problems. I think there's a lot to be learned from Ida. And I'll be talking about this on social media and on my radio show on WWL as time passes. But I think the energy companies and the cable companies, internet, I think everybody can learn lessons from what happened here. We learned lessons following Katrina. And President George W. Bush said, we're going to build a flood protection wall around the city. That's built. We didn't flood, but we had wind damage. And I guess I have to also remind you that no matter what we do, there's always going to be a chance that some kind of a natural disaster is going to break what we build. There's never going to be 100% protection. In San Francisco, they build buildings with earthquakes in mind. But there will always be those earthquakes that will destroy buildings because we can't be guaranteed total safety. But there were just really so many great stories about human struggles and people still rising to the occasion to have a good attitude. There's a lot of anger and frustration, which I understand. But this was a freaking disaster. And I'm not defending nature. I'm not defending the city, the state, government, the power company, the cable company. I'm not defending anybody when I say this. But sometimes there's just these natural disasters that the things that we make cannot withstand. And I get the anger and the frustration, but things are getting better. There's power back on in much of the city of New Orleans. In some places outside of the city, so devastated, and in remote areas that it's going to take a couple of weeks, maybe even 6 weeks for some to get power back. And then down on the bayou in Houma, Louisiana, a guy calls the radio show and he's going, man, you know, we've got generators going down here and we had a bunch of frozen fish and frozen shrimp in the freezer. And since the electricity went out, man, we're down here grilling. They're getting together, they're barbecuing, neighbors coming together. And that's another great thing about this. People coming together, people talking to each other. Everything's not just, hey, how you doing? Everything's not just on the phone. And maybe that's a lesson to learn from this. That we learn that we're important to each other. And we do need each other. And I like the sense of community that's created following a disaster. And when it comes to like the culture in New Orleans and South Louisiana, I was born here. And I've lived all over the country, but this never occurred to me until last night when I was on the air. It occurs to me that one of the reasons that we might be so friendly here, because we are friendly in the South, Southern hospitality is not a myth. It's a reality. And there is a Southern charm about many people in New Orleans. Look, there's some assholes. There's some people that don't want to do their jobs. But when you come here, you feel this Southern hospitality. We bond. We do come together. And maybe it's because over time, hurricane after hurricane after hurricane, disaster after disaster in this area has forced us to come together. It's forced us to create a sense of community. And so now it's part of who we are. And new people who move in from outside the area, they start to get it. They understand it, and they embrace it. A lot of human struggles, but for any bad stories you hear, there are a multitude of really positive stories about the human spirit. And one thing that a disaster, one thing that nobody can take away from you, is your spirit and your faith that things are going to get better. Thank you for joining me here on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. And we're just building this. So again, I thank all of you who are new. I thank those of you who are new subscribers, and I hope you have become a subscriber. If not, subscribe. It's free. We'll give you a notice every time we do something live. And also join me on WWL Radio. You can go to WWL.com, stream the show live. Starting tomorrow, back on my regular schedule of 1 to 4 in the afternoon, Central Time. And it's where politics and pop culture meet your opinions. You can also download the Odyssey app, AUDACY, type in WWL. You've got our show wherever you've got your phone. And also join me on Scoot on the Facebook and Instagram.